All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up the show with just talking about the Saints game. No Allen Robinson, potentially no Cody Whitehair. We're going to be missing some pieces. Weird thing is that I'm still confident that they could potentially win this game. I don't think the Saints are all that great of a team, and especially in Chicago, the whole thing with Drew Brees outside of the dome, and then the fact that didn't it snow in Chicago just like the other day?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we got like a little bit.
So
of
if that
snow.
happens, I think this is the Bears all the way.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't want to be too confident because, if the offense comes out and performs like they did, this past Monday, they have no chance.
We're so bad.
Surely they need to improve. I mean, this offense needs to come out looking like a different team in order to win this game. I'm not really sure where to be at. I'm not really sure if I can necessarily trust them to bounce back. They did. After they lost against the Colts, they looked good against the Buccaneers, so maybe this team does have some resiliency, but I'm not sure. This one feels a little bit different. I'm a little bit more on the fence on this one. I don't necessarily fear the Saints either, but I just know if you give Drew Brees, enough attempts where the Bears aren't necessarily putting up any points, and you just keep giving him the ball, he's eventually going to score. So, that's the one thing that's really in my mind.
Yeah, that is a little bit concerning. Obviously, Drew Brees has not been the Drew Brees of old this season, but he's still a good quarterback. And, yeah, if our offense looks anything like it did this previous week, we are completely screwed. So, ultimately, what's your final pick, Bears or Saints?
You know what? I'm going to go with the Saints. My prediction is I think Saints 28, Bears 17, I think.
Wow, that would be pretty brutal. I think that the Bears are going to win. I don't know a score projection. I'm not good at those, but I think that the Bears will win. I think it'll be a tight game, but ultimately I think they'll pull through, and I think we'll come on our reaction podcast talking about how good of a coach Matt Nagy is. But no, ultimately I do think that the Bears end up winning this one, and ultimately just kind of shift the talking point again. Like, is this a good team? Is it not a good team? Truthfully, There's a part of me that wouldn't mind if we just lost the rest of our games so we could just get a good quarterback or something for once. But I think that we are going to continue to play ourselves into purgatory. And yes, I think that we will win this game. But one last thing I want to mention before we wrap up the show is, I just have a feeling the Bears aren't going to do anything at the trade deadline, even though it looks like that's the number one thing they need to be focused on right now.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, the Bears have never really been a trade deadline team, and I just don't really get the feeling. I haven't heard any rumors, never really heard any links or anything. Just kind of get the feeling that it's going to be pretty quiet over here.
Well, and I also heard that the Packers just got a notification. The Packers are looking at Will Fuller, which is not going to be a great addition if they make that for the Bears right now. But yeah, and also one last thing before we wrap it up. When are we going to activate Lamar Miller?
I don't know. He's been kind of just living in that practice squad for a bit. So
seems like we're in desperate need of him right now, and he's just nowhere to be found. Maybe he's injured, maybe he's not, but whatever, guys. Well, hopefully we can have a more positive podcast next week. So thank you guys so much.
Hey guys, like our video, subscribe, and check out our bi-weekly podcasts on Apple Podcasts. Thanks.